will be back in action at not this weekend in Bristol, as we talked about with Nate Van Wagenen, but the next weekend in Norwalk, Ohio, as the series returns to Summit Motorsports Park for the Summit Nationals. I was curious, Mike, and I just want to talk about this a little bit. It's no secret I'm a huge Pro Mod guy. You're a huge Pro Mod guy. I took a peek at the entry list this morning. 14 cars pre-entered for the NHRA Summit Nationals, the next stop on the Fuel Tech NHRA Pro Mod Drag Racing Series presented by D-Wagon. What would you, on a scale of 1 to 10, Mike, how would you rate the NHRA's kind of rebound, the Pro Mod Series rebound after a couple of rough years in 20 and 21 specifically?
Yeah, I would say to start the year, it was looking like a pretty low number, but I'd have to give them a pretty good score here for the last couple of events. But we'll see how that carries through the summer. The 14 cars pre-entered, it's not a good look right now, but there are still 2 weeks until this. But if you can't get a full field to come to Norwalk, which, you know, is arguably the most respected and beloved facility in the country and a haven for pro mods, you know, that doesn't bode very well. But we are entering that kind of dicey summer period. You see a lot of guys kind of picking and choosing more now than they used to. Spring, fall, don't necessarily want to make the whole grind through the summer. So we'll see what they add to that entry list before they actually get to Norwalk. But it is kind of disappointing. I used to love logging in and looking at these entry lists.
I know,
and
dude.
People fighting to get spots, and there's 30 something cars, and I heard so-and-so's, got to go to a wedding and he's got to go drop out. I'm going to try to get his spot. And now we don't have that anymore. And we've said it on the show before. Pro Mod was at its strongest whenever that was the case. Everyone wants to say, oh, it's a yacht
Good old
club
boys
or
club,
whatever
yeah.
it is. And that, they need to let everybody in or whatever. But it was strongest when they had a dedicated group of 30 plus cars that were fighting for those spots. And I hope we can get back to that. I think that the Gainesville situation, obviously, and the sponsorship situation and the uncertainty of the off season, the rule changes, they had a lot to come back from to start the season. And I think they'll continue to build momentum as the year goes on and be better positioned for the start of 2023.
We could probably see 2023 be like the best year of Pro Mod since 2018-19, right? I think that's genuinely a possibility. But I agree with you, man. I'm glad you said it, because if you can't fill a field in Norwalk, something's wrong, right? And obviously there's a lot of factors at this time. We've got the economy, $6 a gallon diesel. There's a lot of things that can derail somebody. It's going to be 600 degrees more than likely. It's hot. Holiday weekend. The next weekend, we're headed right up to 4th of July. But still, I'm wondering, like, at what point are we going to see some phones ringing? And the list looks good. I mean, it's not like these aren't the baddest racers and the best cars in the country. Jose Gonzalez, defending world champion, obviously will be there. Stevie Jackson, J.R. Gray, Lyle Barnett, Doug Winters, Ricky Smith, Mike Castellana, Sidney Frigo back in the mix after a couple of years off during COVID. Khaled Al-Belushi, Dwayne Wolf, Eric Latino, Chris Thorne leading the points right now. Justin Bond, who I believe will be rolling out a brand new car from our friends at Jerry Bickle Race Cars. Mike Thielen. I mean, what a deal it would be if we could get some of the usual cast of characters to show up along with all these fresh faces, because, man, it is exciting to think about how many new folks are involved in Pro Mod right now. Lyle Barnett, what an impact he's made. J.R. Gray, I mean, a trash talker, fun-loving guy, teamed up with an iconic team, Mike Janis and Mike Janis Jr. I mean, they've got a second car now in Mike Thielen. I mean, there's a lot of fresh faces alongside these usual suspects, and it feels like we're this close. If I had to give him a grade, I'm saying like a 7 or 8. I mean, it's better than it looks by that entry list, in my opinion. I heard a lot of stuff even this morning about some new sponsors stepping up, some new teams stepping up. Did I see Ricky Smith on this list, right? Did I see Tyler Miller?
Yeah.
So I think Tyler Miller is I'm sure going to be there, especially coming off a win.
I was going to say, who's missing from this list? I was racking my brain as you were going through it, trying to think who's not on the list that almost certainly will be there. Stan Shelton's probably not on that list, right? That's someone who made his debut at Charlotte, but because that was a local race and because of his tractor pulling schedule, he's probably pretty much done for the summer. We'll see who shows up, but maybe a situation like you said with Tyler Miller will most certainly be there if Ricky's there, not being on the list. So you could probably chalk that up to 15.
Well, I mean, but I'm not trying to be that guy, but so far in 2022, Mike, wrap your head around this stat and we'll kind of close the show on it. And I do want to thank everybody for being a part of this. Thank my whole team, a great episode of the show. Thank everybody for turning up, helping us share this thing. Corey Stamper, JT, Dion, the whole crew. But Mike, wrap your head around this. In 2018, 47 different drivers earned points in the E3, at that time, the E3 Sparkplugs NHRA Pro Mod Drag Racing Series. 47, right? That's nearly 50. That's incredible, right? 47 guys earned points in 2018. Here in 2022, it's 17. So it is a stark contrast to when this class was at its height. And what's crazy is it really was during that good old boy yacht club, country club era. I get it was pay to play. I get it was all these things, but it kind of is a great way to tie it back to our conversation about radio versus the world. Is sometimes you have to lean in to those nuances and make your weaknesses or make
Quit fighting it. Quit trying to be something you're not, man.
And embrace it.